you're watching News at 8 live from our Pocket Hill studios in Highlands, Harare. Thank you for joining us. I am Yvonne Mukondani Piswe. Jomunika gives us the bulletin in sign language. And I'm Liam Bernard. Dora Ngube will join us much later from our Montreux studios. Here are our headlines tonight. Zimbabwe and Mozambique signed several agreements under binational commission. In business news, Zimbabwe's construction sector on a growth trajectory. And in sports news, Scotland FC crowned Castleaga Premier Soccer League champions. Those are our leading stories tonight. We start off with our first report. Now, Zimbabwe and Mozambique have sealed several agreements under the inaugural binational commission held in Maputo this Saturday. President Emmerson Mnangagwa says this renewed cooperation between Zimbabwe and Mozambique will be pivotal in accelerating development and economic prosperity between the two nations. And we will bring you this story as the bulletin progresses. Now, President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his Mozambique counterpart, President Daniel Chapo, jointly addressed a business forum convened on the sidelines of the Binational Commission in Maputo, which reaffirmed the private sector's role in spurring economic resurgence and growth. Meanwhile, President Emmerson Mnangagwa has returned home after a state visit to Mozambique, where he has also attended the Zimbabwe-Mozambique Binational Commission, cementing the existing bilateral relations between the two countries. Now, he was received at the Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport by Vice President Colonel retired Dr. Kemba Mohadi, Minister of Defense Honorable Opa Mchinguri Kashiri, services chiefs and senior government officials. Now, Zimbabwe and Mozambique signed 3 memoranda of understanding. The bottlenecks at the Forbes border post were also discussed to ensure the upgrading of the port of entry at one-stop border for smooth movement of goods. Now, Harare and Maputo enjoy the cordial relations on the economic and political fronts. Now, in other news, President Emmerson Mnangagwa says Zimbabwe is determined to achieve an environment free from gender-based violence as established by the requisite policy frameworks towards deterring the menace.
Commemorated globally, the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence are key in making sure issues to do with GBV are discussed. Zimbabwe joins the rest of the world in the commemorations, and President Mnangagwa has added his voice to the issue of gender-based violence. From the 25th of November to the 10th of December, the globe unites in commemoration of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, GBV, with conversations on addressing the vice taking center stage in communities. As Zimbabwe launches the 16 days of activism against GBV, the message from President Emmerson Mnangagwa is clear. His administration is determined to realize an environment that is just and free of GBV.
The launch of the high-level political compact on ending gender-based violence and harmful practices signaled my government's recognition of the importance of a coordinated approach in addressing gender-based violence. We are determined to realize an environment that is just and free of gender-based violence in our country, where every woman, man, girl or boy can enjoy fulfilling lives without fear of violence. To this end, my government has established and ensured a requisite legal and policy framework towards the prevention and deterrence of gender-based violence.
President Mnangagwa said the government will unveil more strategies to ensure more women assume leadership positions.
The women in leadership and decision-making strategy will be operationalized to increase women's participation in leadership and decision-making, as well as the prevention of violence in political spaces. These initiatives reflect our dedication to foster a comprehensive whole-of-government and society approach that tackles the scourge of gender-based violence in a collaborative manner. This will create a safer and a more equitable society that leaves no one and no place behind.
President Mnangagwa also called on ministries, organizations and various departments working within the country to ensure the mainstream gender in all their activities.
Meanwhile, I urge all ministries and departments and agencies to continue mainstreaming gender in their programming and service delivery towards fostering a gender-based violence-free culture in the workplace, as well as raise awareness about the scourge and impact of gender-based violence.
The Second Republic has made significant strides in tackling GBV, including the setting up of one-stop centers countrywide. While acknowledging the strides that have been attained by Zimbabwe in dealing with gender-based violence, President Mnangagwa says more can still be done to ensure that this vice is completely eradicated. More so when we look at the issue of drug and substance abuse, which continues to be a cause factor in gender-based violence. Josephine Mugio, ZBC News, Harare.
The launch of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence officially marks the beginning of the annual campaign, which runs from the 25th of November to the 10th of December. Let's hear more.
Running under the theme United to End Digital Violence Against All Women and Girls, the launch of the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence has set the tone for increased efforts in terms of raising awareness to end gender-based violence.
This is not only a social issue, but an economic burden to the individual, the family, the workplace, the community, and the nation at large. It drains national development and is a threat to our public health system.
Today in Zimbabwe, we are launching the start of the activism against gender-based violence, and what we are saying is just we are now, as the ministry, the coordinating ministry, we are the ones who start launching the program. Then all the other partners will start doing different activities to talk about gender-based violence, to talk about the challenges of what people are facing in the communities.
The United Nations Population Fund and several organizations have also partnered government in programs aimed at preventing violence and supporting survivors of gender-based violence.
The government of Zimbabwe, like the UN, for instance, is joining the world to celebrate the launch of 16 Days of Activism because we want to amplify the voices of this particular issue that is not supposed to be. It has very serious consequences on the socio-economic and political welfare of the survivors.
What we aim to do is sustaining the guidance of the previous program, which was a Spotlight initiative done with the UN exactly on women's empowerment and fighting gender-based violence.
This year's launch comes at a time government has already put in place frameworks to end gender-based violence, which are enshrined in the National Gender Policy. Frameworks which are in line with the regional and international conventions on ending gender-based violence. John Nandara, ZBC News, Harare.
Vice President General retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga says Zimbabwe is seeking inclusion in the Group of 20 framework on debt resolution to facilitate the flow of new funds so as to sustain ongoing development projects.
Zimbabwe is taking part at this year's G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg after being invited by the host nation, South Africa. Delivering a speech at the summit, Vice President General Retired Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, who is representing President Emmerson Mnangagwa, said the inclusion of Zimbabwe in the G20 debt resolution system will restore multilateral financiers' confidence in the economy.
Zimbabwe seeks inclusion and active participation in an improved G20 common framework for the debt treatment process. We are ready to engage constructively to that end. The journey for inclusive and sustainable growth demands political will and an unwavering commitment to equitable development. Let us reaffirm our collective commitment to building a stronger, fairer, greener, and more humane global economy.
While Zimbabwe, like any other global economy, has not been spared from global headwinds, developing economies are being rallied to focus on sustainable, growth-oriented policies.
Sustainability involves meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. As a founding member of the G20, South Africa has sought to ensure that the development priorities of the Global South and the African continent find expression firmly and permanently on the agenda of the G20.
Key issues for this year's summit, which is being held for the first time in Africa, include data reforms, inclusive economic growth, climate finance, and harnessing natural resources. Zimbabwe's participation at this year's G20 Leaders Summit is expected to send the tone that the country is open for business and the economy continues to get endorsement from global financiers, including development partners. Stanley James, ZBC News, Johannesburg.
Back home now, government's industrialization agenda is on course with multi-million-dollar investments taking shape in Mashonaland West, creating jobs and driving economic growth, positioning the province as an industrial hub.
The proposed new city, Mount Habden in Mashonaland West, is emerging as the fast-growing industrial hub in the province. Private sector-led investments are driving the progress, including two Chinese-led companies, Zhuyang Nyabira Bricks, which is into brick molding, and a cement manufacturing firm, Zimbabwe Wajing Industry. Local youths are excited about the transformative investments. Once complete early next year, the Nyabira Bricks will produce at least 1 million bricks per day, while the Zimbabwe Washing Industry is producing 300,000 tons of cement per year.
We wish to positively contribute to the fight against substance abuse by employing these youth so that they've got something else to do.
Our current capacity is 300,000 tons of cement, and we are going to make another mill, start to make the construction this month. We're planning to do that, and that will double our capacity.
Government said the progress reflects the impact of the Second Republic's investor-friendly reforms.
All this has been generated by virtue of the leadership and the magnetic investment climate that has been provided by the Second Republic, and in particular under the wise leadership of President E.D. Mnangagwa. We've had to revise our numbers in terms of housing units and in terms of local government architecture and planning, as we have now revised our numbers to 1 million houses before the end of NDS 1. And as we move to NDS 2, this is part of the success stories in terms of the leadership that has been provided by President E.D. Mnangagwa. We've had trade deficit in terms of cement production, and we have registered about 2 more cement factories that are coming up.
We are going to have 3 cement manufacturing plants in the country, and also we have opened David Whitehead, that is in Chegutu and Kadoma.
With employment opportunities increasing and production capacities expanding, the province is emerging as a key beneficiary of the National Industrialization Thrust. Tamuka Charakupa, ZBC News, Zimba.
Government has busted a syndicate manufacturing and selling fake seeds and fertilizer to unsuspecting farmers in a swoop that confiscated at least 10,000 kilograms of counterfeit inputs.
This amateur video is clear evidence that fake seed and fertilizers have flooded the market, and information that we got from government show that most of the affected areas are Mbare, Gokwe and various parts of the country.
We've seen a proliferation of fake seed and now fake fertilizer on the market. We are urging our growers and our farmers to desist from getting seed from undesignated and agro dealers that are fake. So they must get their seed from genuine agro dealers that they know they sell seed ordinarily, as well as fertilizer.
The ZBC crew caught up with some farmers who were buying fertilizers and the seed around the city of Harare, and they spoke about the negative impact of buying fake seed.
Kutengwa kwe fake mbeu kana kuti kutengwa kwe mbeu dziri fake kuri kudzoredza go ende kunozongodzimara kwaita kuti murimi azongocheme.
We encourage farmers vazhinji vasiri kuziva nokuti patopambira imwe mbi kuti ranzi kuri kuwanika dzimwe mbeu dziri kutengeswa dzisina kuita zvakanaka zvekuti you are likely kuzoruza zvinhu zvako kana ukashaya goho.
We are looking at a certificate which is from this paper here, which is strong in the form of a plastic. It doesn't tear off, and again, even if you put in water, it doesn't get soaked. And then if you look at the seed itself, the seed is well graded, it's well colored. Even if you rub in the hand, you find that not much color comes out of the seed.
A selling of such fake seed and fertilizers, yes, sparked the outrage from farmers who called on relevant authorities to come up with deterrent measures to curb such malpractices. Tendai Munengwa, ZBC News, Harare.
Zimbabwe is accelerating efforts to align the intellectual property system with the national development agenda through targeted reforms and strategic capacity building initiatives designed to unlock innovation and foster sustainable economic growth.
Addressing a high-level African Regional Intellectual Property Organization ARIPO session in Ghana this Friday, the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Honorable Ziyambi Ziyambi, outlined the critical steps Zimbabwe is taking to modernize its IP framework and position it as a cornerstone of Vision 2030. Honorable Ziyambi reaffirmed the country's commitment to building a modern, inclusive and regionally harmonized IP ecosystem, a key driver for economic transformation, competitiveness and cultural preservation.
In alignment with our national development agenda, Zimbabwe continues to strengthen its intellectual property ecosystem through targeted capacity building and institutional reforms. Initiatives such as the SME Mentorship Program and the Masters in Intellectual Property, jointly offered by WIPO, ARIPO and Africa University, are equipping our entrepreneurs, legal professionals and policymakers with the skills necessary to navigate and shape the evolving IP landscape.
The transformative initiatives highlighted by Honorable Ziyambi include the Small to Medium Enterprises Mentorship Program and the Masters in Intellectual Property jointly offered by World Intellectual Property Organization, ARIPO and Africa University. The institutions are already equipping Zimbabwean entrepreneurs, legal minds and policymakers with the skills to navigate and influence the dynamic intellectual property landscape. Peter Chivima, ZBC News.
Remember, there is more news on our website. That is www.zbcnews.co.zw. You can also engage with us on X as well as on YouTube. We are ZBC News Online. Now, on another note, Leanne, not a very good day for you, Liverpool?
Oh, well, yes, you can take part in that conversation on our Facebook page, ZBC News Online. Tell us which team you were rooting for today. And the stories ahead to come in this bulletin. In business, Zimbabwe's construction sector and a growth trajectory. And in sport, Scotland FC crowned the Casalaga Premier Soccer League champions. This and more to come. Just stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this.
Wherever you are, and Marmoush room to shoot. He well and truly did. It's an opportunity. What a shot to Shado! Tarkovsky. Scott's got to be careful. Bukayo Saka. But it's Salah, and that one delivers.
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
The Zimbabwe Defence Forces ZDF would like to advise the public that a handover and takeover parade to mark change of command of the Zimbabwe Defence Forces would take place at Charles Gumbo Barracks Parade Square on Monday, 24 November 2025. Invited guests are expected to be seated by 7:30 hours.
This is a message for all motorists and pedestrians, brought to you by the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe. Motorists are urged to exercise extreme caution when approaching an intersection. Slow down, stop, give way. Always give precedence to traffic approaching from the right before proceeding, unless the intersection is controlled by police, stop sign or traffic lights. Failure to comply to road sign procedures may result in getting arrested or loss of life. Be on the lookout for pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists. Speeding, drunk driving, fatigue and chatting on the phone whilst driving are the major causes of accidents at intersections. Therefore, take heed when approaching intersections because the life you save might just be your very own. Think safety first before driving. Choose life. The Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, thriving to keep our roads safe and lives fulfilled.
News at 8 on ZTV. Thank you for giving us your time. And now, as you have it, we cross over to our Montrose studios in Bulawayo, where we have Dora Ncube on standby. Dora, good evening, and it is over to you.
Many thanks, Yvonne and Leanne, and good evening. The ruling party ZANU-PF says infrastructure growth is key to the national development agenda. This was said by the ruling party's leadership while unveiling newly built party offices in Matabeleland North Province this Saturday.
According to the ZANU-PF leadership, the newly built offices will be pivotal to housing all arms of the party at provincial level, thereby ensuring efficiency. With more than $200,000 United States dollars poured into the structure, this Saturday was a moment not only to reflect, but to also celebrate.
Coming in office second republic, President Tim Nanga was kutazi ukuthi each province ifuzibe le sakhiwo esinje. So saqalisa ukuthi sisi yakhe. But kwakufinyela siselele ezimalini la. But ngesikhathi ubaba upresident iTim Nangagwa esinika izimali ama100,000 sengama chairman. Ngacabanga le team yami eprovince ukuthi siqedise isakhiwo lesi ukuthi singenele endaweni edecent.
Kana ZANU-PF yatadza kupa new ideas kunyika. Nyika yacho haikwanisi kubudirira, haikwanisi kusumuka nekukasira. Saka kuZANU-PF kunofanirwa kunge kwakarongeka. Kune mahofisi akanaka, mishina yechizvino-zvino yepamusoro, ndiko kunofanirwa kunge kuchirongwa vision dzemberi dzinoenda kumberi.
What is important is that
following the directive by His Excellency the President that every province must open up, provincial party headquarters. So Mart North complied, and accordingly we started fundraising in order to construct this current infrastructure. It has taken us 9 years, but I'm happy that finally the provincial party headquarters is now standing firm.
Now completed and fully equipped, the offices are expected to play a critical role in ensuring all activities and records are simulated efficiently with modern political trends. Mhlomuli Ncube, ZBC News, Lupane.
Hey! 2030!
Government is forging ahead with programs to preserve and uphold the history of the country's liberation struggle through identification, exhumation and reburial of foreign heroes within and outside the country's borders.
The welfare of the veterans of the liberation struggle continues to be one of the major priorities of government, with the Ministry of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs working on aligning its empowerment programs with the National Development Agenda. Addressing veterans of the liberation struggle at the Matebeleland South or Veterans Interface in Gwanda this Saturday, the Minister of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs, Senator Monica Mavunga, said the ministry is in the process of amending the 3 war vets statutes to align them with evolving socio-economic realities.
The ministry administers 3 key acts of parliament. The ministry is currently in the process of amending these 3 statutes to align them with emerging needs and evolving socio-economic realities. The amendment seeks to ensure that the veterans community receives enhanced and comprehensive benefits.
His Excellency the President, Comrade Idi Mnangagwa, a war veteran par excellence himself, has initiated several empowerment programs for veterans such as the Presidential War Veterans Fund, the Presidential Veterans Housing Scheme, and the Presidential Farming Equipment for Veterans.
The local leadership is convinced the prioritization of veterans of the liberation struggle welfare is in line with the Second Republic's mantra of leaving no one and no place behind.
The implementation of the quota system for war veterans in land, mining, claims and residual expense allocation is part of the broader strategy targeted at securing a dignified future for veterans of the liberation struggle.
Ngibonungani okakathesi ubaba uMnangagwa usinike umuntu ozasinakekela ongasebenza le war veterans kube lempumela kube lokunye isingakubamba ezandleni.
Prior to the Indaba, the ministers laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Matebeleland South Provincial Heroes Ekam. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Gwanda.
The National Youth Service has been lauded for forging unity, hard work and patriotism among youths. This came out at the National Youth Service graduation ceremony for more than 500 youths at Guyu in Gwanda this Friday.
After 3 months of rigorous training and 3 months of community service, it was time for more than 500 youths drawn from all the 10 provinces in the country to leave this place. This is where they're being taught patriotism, unit, discipline, and the need to fight drug and substance abuse among the youth. Every march, every step, the beat demonstrates a youth that has been taught discipline, patriotism and unity.
Youth service yandidzidzisa kunzwisisa nekuda nyika yangu sezvairi zvokuti ipo zvinozvi ndava a proper citizen wekuti even if you take me out of Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe will be within me. Ndakukwanisa kuziva kuti kushandira nyika yangu kuita sei.
Kumfundise kubana masiva mbene njengolutsha lweZimbabwe siyakwazi uku-achieve ama-goals.
Sesikwanisa ukuyenza imisebenzi yezandla, sesile discipline, sesikwazi ukuchiya okungayenziyo.
The 3 months rigorous training and 3 months of community service have aided in the fight against drug and substance abuse among these youths, as they were barred from using any substance deemed toxic.
Lolu hlelo lujonge ukuthi luncedise abatsha bethu njengoba sibona ukuthi sesilenkinga enkulu yezidakamizwa lokungahloniphi phakathi kwesizwe sethu. Ikanti ke kusadingakala ukuthi sibe labatsha abangabakhokheli bakusasa.
These youth have learned the values of patriotism, discipline, voluntarism and resilience, and they are now prepared to contribute to the achievement of Vision 2030.
The Minister of State for Matabeleland South Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Honorable Albert Ngulube, who represented Vice President Colonel retired Dr. Kembo Mohadi, said government has been impressed by the uptake of the National Youth Service.
I'm pleased to note with great satisfaction that a total of 533 young men and women drawn from all 10 provinces of our beloved nation have successfully completed this rigorous and inspiring program. This reinforces our shared nation vision of unity, patriotism, and empowerment.
Over 500 youths drawn from all the 10 provinces graduated at Gui Training Center. Providence Maranelli, ZBC News, Gwanda.
Regional trade leaders are moving to strengthen consumer protection mechanisms with a call for the African continent to accelerate implementation of robust border and in-market surveillance strategies to combat the influx of counterfeit products.
The urgent need for these safeguards is underscored by projections that the African Continental Free Trade Area will create a unified market of over 1.7 billion people, with combined consumer and business spending reaching 6.7 trillion United States dollars by 2030. This expanded, lucrative market also heightens the risk of illicit trade, a challenge particularly evident in the COMESA region. Regional delegates who attended the Consumer Protection Conference in Bula this Friday stressed the urgency of coordinated oversight.
With this trade and opening up of our borders for our goods, we need to be very vigilant as regulators on the continent to ensure that we have measures in place to prevent the scourge of these products.
As African countries, we are at different levels of consumer protection. But what is needed generally is the strengthening of consumer protection authorities in every country, and also the strengthening of regional blocks.
The need for the capacitation of the Consumer Protection Commission to effectively monitor markets under the new trade dispensation, alongside the urgent enactment of legislation that modernizes Zimbabwe's consumer protection framework to align with regional protocols and close loopholes exploited by counterfeiters, were emphasized.
As CPC, we need also to be ready for that, and we need to be capacitated both in terms of human resources and also in terms of financing, and having the necessary tools to ensure that we protect our consumers.
As a country, we are not really there at the moment. There is need for us to enact legislation that will ensure that we have an act of parliament that is specifically looking at how to deal with the counterfeits goods.
Protecting consumers and intellectual property within the free trade area is primarily addressed through the Protocol on Competition Policy and the Protocol on Intellectual Property Rights, which are designed to prevent anti-competitive behavior and combat the trade in counterfeit goods. Ilandmo, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
And with that, we now take you back to Leanne and Yvonne for more news. Yvonne?
Welcome wherever you are. And Marmoush, room to shoot! And he well and truly did! It's an opportunity, what a shot to Sudo! Tarkowski! Scott's got to be careful, Bukayo Saka! But it's Salah, and that one delivers!
Never miss a play, home or away. Stream all Premier League games live on Showmax.
Get ready. All in one place. Introducing the new Zing Digital Decoder so you can enjoy more in full HD for free without monthly subscriptions. You can now get to enjoy Zimbabwe's best and new TV and radio channels on the Zing Digital Decoder countrywide. All you need to do is purchase your Zing Digital Decoder for $25 or Zig equivalent. This is a once-off payment for the decoder, no monthly subscriptions. Hurry and get your Zim Digital Decoder at Transmedia Offices, Broadcasting Authority of Zimbabwe, Kingstones, Ground Floor, Harare, and all TV broadcasters. Zim Digital, tirimotese sonke skona.
Drug and substance abuse leads to serious health problems, financial troubles,
accidents, injuries, relationship issues, and addiction,
which can be very difficult to overcome. Above all, drug and substance abuse is a crime.
Are you struggling with drug and substance abuse?
Do you know someone who is struggling with drug and substance abuse-related addiction?
Get assistance. Call now on the Drug and Substance Abuse Unit toll-free number
0801 4424.
For all mental health challenges, please call toll-free number 2024.
Don't let drugs control your life. Seek help and start your journey to recovery today.
Staying with us now, we apologize for the loss of sound earlier. Religious leaders have described the late Archbishop Paul Mwanja as an exceptional and dedicated apostle who sowed seeds of love and unity among Christians and the community he served.
A towering figure in the national Christian fraternity, the late leader of the African Apostolic Church, Apostle of Africa, Archbishop Paul Mwanja, will be remembered for localizing Christianity to suit Zimbabwe's persuasions and prioritizing improvement of livelihoods. Religious and political leaders have described Mutumwa Mwanja as a unifier.
Munhu wanga ari munhu anorudo. Uyezve munhu wanga achibatanidza vanhu muchechi nomuhurumende nenyika yose kana kuhama dzake. Isu tarasikirwa zvakanyanya. Uyezve nokuti anga ari mudzidzisi.
He was very principled, high level of integrity, and very ethical in all his ways. And his main teaching was about everyone to abide by God's laws.
A very towering servant of God who has just fallen. A shepherd who carried the burden of his people with courage, humility, and unwavering faith for his finished earthly race.
Tarasikirwa tose, nyika yedu yarasikirwa. Munoona chitendero chedu vatema ndimi makachisimudzira kuti munhu mutema azivewo kuti ini ndakatosikwa mumufananidzo waMwari, haasi muchena bedzi. Saka isu nyika yedu inovaka chitendero, zvose zvichigamuchirwa zvitendero izvozvo. Saka tiri tose pakuchema Mutumwa Mwanja.
Archbishop Mwaja died at the age of 107. He is survived by 10 children and several grandchildren. Mourners are gathered at his Hatfield home in Harare, and burial arrangements are yet to be announced. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
Government has stepped in to assist 9 ordinary level candidates who were denied entry into an exam after school authorities deemed their hairstyles were inappropriate.
Tangonza takunzi chibuda ichi wende kumba unogera tati kumedhimu toenda kumba kunogera chirudzi tukanzi takati kwano anivhudzwa ndodarika edu asikana ni mabraids anosvikawo wapinda wani tukanzi undidzire zvekuita achitsikoro cha baba wako kana mai vako kana baba wako namai vako ana chikuru ngavanovaka ndopinzwa ndoda chiro mwana wangu anaya nechi ane rasta kana zvakusvotei kunoripota chi kuzimseki
ndaikanzi haukwanisi kupinda kuti unyore zimseki musi wekupedzisira pandainyora FRS kuma2 ndakasvika pachikoro nguva dzichitoripo zvekumaraundi hafu 1 takuti tipinde mukati kuti tinyore memobva watimisa zvikanzi ndiye munogero.
This is the story of not just these 2 ordinary level candidates at Malta Academy in Glenview, Harare, but 9 who were denied entry into their final exam by an invigilator who deemed their hairstyles inappropriate. A gross misconduct by school authorities which violated the right to education for those learners. A misguided move which left parents angry, feeling shortchanged by an institution which had promised a bright academic future for their children.
Ndakabatikana ndikachemera hedhava hedi zvamaita handisi kuziva takuita izifuke takajoina takapinza takaunza vana kuchikoro chesatanism nekuti hamuna moyo matirwadzisa ini ndakabatikana semubereki.
Zvina kunaka kuti mubereki gore rose achibhadhara school fees mwana wake wozongonzi last minute subject rekupedzesera robva ranzi haachanyori nekuda kwebvudzi.
Nyaya hombe yakandirwadza kuti 4 years chibhadhara mwana 340 is not a joke. Vozomurambidza paper 1 at last.
Reprieve for the candidates is all they sought for, and rightly so, government has stepped in.
I've directed that those who violated the law should be arrested. There are so many options that we are going to do. We are going to consider one paper that they wrote is going to be moderated, and they will have results come January 2026.
Malta Academy Director Mr. Tawanda Mtambara declined to comment, citing he needs to consult with his legal team first. The Constitution clearly states that every child has rights and they should be upheld. Fungai Jachi, ZBC News, Harare.
And now in business news, Zimbabwe's investments into the construction sector continue to surge, and commitment by stakeholders to collaborate and adhere to quality standards.
The Zimbabwe Building Contractors Association annual conference, which ended this Friday in Nyanga, was characterized by revelations that Zimbabwe's construction industry has grown over the years, with investments worth over $800 million United States dollars having been recorded last year as compared to $400 million United States dollars in 2020.
Since 2020, up to January 20, up to the last quarter of 2025, so third quarter of 2025, investments of 400 million were put in during 2020, 2021 500 million, 2022 600 million US dollars, 2023 700 million, 2024 800 million, and this also culminates to a whopping $3.1 billion that the government has actually spent towards infrastructure.
The conference was attended by stakeholders from regional countries.
Zimbabwe own strides in housing, road network, and urban renewal reflect a shared commitment to development.
Zimbabwe and South Africa have very shared deep economic linkage. The construction sector presents fertile grounds to expand these ties, particularly in material resources and supply.
As neighboring countries, we share a vision for resilient and prosperous SADC. We want to see more Zimbabwean construction companies collaborating with our local companies in Botswana and undertaking major infrastructural projects.
Government outlined opportunities under the country's infrastructure development master plan and the country's target to promote accelerated infrastructural development.
We are a province that is gifted in as far as tourism is concerned. We have various opportunities, especially here in the Eastern Highlands and the Nyanga area. There's need for hotels all over. We have Mtarazi Falls. We only have a few lodges there, but we are looking forward to investors coming in to put up massive structures by way of 5-star hotels.
In the ministry, the Mbare Flats redevelopment project represents a transformative opportunity in urban renewal. The plan envisages over 61 4-story blocks with an investment value between $68 to $85 million.
Running under the theme, Embracing Innovation for a Resilient Construction Future, the conference also saw the launch of the sector's academy and magazine to improve on skills development as well as sector visibility. Kenya's Chivuje, ZBC News, Nyanga.
Business straight into the arts, and now the 10th edition of the Bulawayo Shutdown Gig, which brings the city's entertainment scene to a vibrant close for the year, is penciled for the 27th of December at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. Let's hear more.
With music and culture deeply intertwined, the 10th edition of the Bulawayo Shutdown Gig, dubbed the Ubuntu Concert, will be a platform for people to experience unique musical traditions that spread across geographical boundaries.
When the war drums rested, songs turned into laughter. At the river, girls sang sweet melodies, and boys answered with poems of the heart.
Organizers of this year's edition have lined up diverse artists from across the country and beyond, who they believe will showcase Africa's rich cultural diversity.
Why the drive of Ubuntu? I mean, Ubuntu for me, there's many interpretations to Ubuntu, but for me, it's like cultural diversity. Bring of Abantu like togetherness. So we're doing this through music. Yes, as you see, we're bringing artists from Harare, bringing artists from South Africa. Lama artists target konapa ko Bulawayo.
Some of the artists set to perform at the show include Fab G Umshanaga Gogo, Manan Nolondu J Winkiti, Silent Killer KO, and Young Stan, among others. Lisa Kodida, ZBC News, Bulawayo.
When we sing, we call the rain.
News at 8 takes a break, and we'll be back with more. Just stay with us.
TV, your voice, your choice.
Donzai.
Welcome back. Now we give you the story where Zimbabwe and Mozambique have sealed several agreements under the inaugural Binational Commission held in Maputo this Saturday.
Binational Commission launch in Maputo, Mozambique, saw President Chapo speaking of the importance of the Beira and Limpopo corridor as the conduits of progress and development. He underscored the need to ride on the excellent political relations so that business can be done for the benefit of the generality of the people in Southern Africa.
So we reiterate the importance of working together for the two people, for the development, and make the corridors of Beira and Limpopo more useful, and as well as work for the Tichobanini port in coordination with the Republic of Botswana. We've just signed important cooperation instruments named in the presence of our brothers of the press in the area of community development, women empowerment, and gender issues.
President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa said, the Beira corridor has impediments, and he has ordered the ministries of both countries to go on local to inspect what is actually happening there, so that there is a free trade between Mozambique and Zimbabwe.
Current congestion at the Forbes Machipanda border post negates our ambition for more facilitative ports of entry between our two countries. Following this session of our BNC, I urge our ministers to tour the Forbes border post and other ports of entry. The mission should result in immediate removal of all impediments to the smooth movement of both vehicles and the people across our common border.
He also said there is a scope of having joint projects, cross-border projects by the two sister republics.
Such regular contacts provided our two countries with an opportunity to promote mutual understanding on various aspects as we sustain the momentum of our strong and excellent bilateral relations. So, my dear brother, as we commence our deliberations, let us remain guided by the spirit of unity and solidarity that has always characterized our relations. It is our collective duty to set ambitions, yet achievable priority areas, programs and activities that will guide our work between now and the second session of BNC. The signing of the various agreements during this session should give impetus to stronger synergies and partnerships going forward. These include agreements in the fields of energy, community development, women affairs, cooperatives, and small and medium enterprises, as well as youth affairs. It is critically important that the signing of the legal instruments serve as the foundation for deeper, broader, and a more impactful collaboration across all sectors. The ultimate beneficiaries of our cooperation must be the peoples and economies of both Zimbabwe and Mozambique. This session, being the first of our BNC, must set the right tone for our work going forward, which must be characterized by high-impact results that leave no one and no place behind. As we do so, I urge us equally to remain aware of the duty of our two countries, the duties of our two countries with regards to the SADC and African Union industrialization and integration agenda. Zimbabwe, therefore, stands ready to partner with Mozambique in joint projects whose impact transcends beyond our respective countries. These include energy infrastructure, the deep sea port, as well as the modernization and expansion of the railway network. I urge our respective ministers and senior officials to embrace the sessions of this commission not as an annual formality, but as a fundamental framework for continuous and purposeful engagement. Let us normalize regular consultations among our ministries and departments to ensure that our partnership remains dynamic and responsive to the needs of our people.
Soon after the signing of the Memoranda of Understanding, 3 of them were signed today, that is touching on women, touching on gender, and touching on the youth. Others are work in progress. The president later on went and laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and he had a tour of Maputo, where people like the late founder of Frelimo, President Eduardo Mondlane, and the founder of the late President Samora Moisés Machel Lai, including other luminaries like the late Marcelino dos Santos. On the Heroes Acre, the president went to the Parliament of Mozambique, the House of Assembly, where he met the speaker and spoke about the collaboration between the Zimbabwean Parliament and Mozambican Parliament. Then from there he proceeded to Matola to inspect an industrial conglomerate that is producing gas pipes under the Falcon tank. Then it was off to the Maputo International Airport, where his President Chapo rode in the same vehicle with his counterpart, President Mnangagwa. This was the first visit by a foreign leader to Mozambique after President Chapo took the reins of power in January this year. This important visit actually elevates the collaboration and cooperation between Mozambique and Zimbabwe. Ruben Barguez, ZBC News, Maputo International Airport in Mozambique.
We now bring you back home and straight into sports news now, where Scotland FC were crowned the 2025 Casalaga Premier Soccer League champions at an event which was graced by the First Lady, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, in Kwekwe this Saturday, in a ceremony marked by steady afternoon rains, echoing the same weather that accompanied their title-clinching victory at the same venue 3 weeks ago. Scotland marched into history, with the First Lady, Dr. Auxilia Mnangagwa, applauding from the terraces and the rains falling in a similar fashion. Now, Scotland's coronation felt less like the end of a season and more like the beginning of a new force. The club became the first team in 40 years to win the league straight from Division 1, a feat last achieved by Black Rhinos in 1984. Now, Scotland wrapped up the season with a 2-1 victory over the Tel One, a result of no consequence to the standings, but symbolic of the self-belief that carried them through an extraordinary champions. Kudos to Scotland team there.
Now, still in football news, the Zimbabwean national football team, the Warriors, carry the nation's hope as they prepare for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations set for Morocco.
countdown begins, there is an anticipation from the nation as the Warriors make their 7th appearance at the prestigious tournament since 2021 when they exited in the group stages. The Warriors missed the 2023 edition as they were under FIFA suspension. Under the guidance of a former coach Michael Oniz, the team qualified for the tournament with a hard-fought 1-0 draw against Kenya thanks to a Tawanda Maswani's score. Now, with the new coach Marian Marnika at the helm, the Warriors are seeking to go beyond the group stage. Recent friendlies have provided a glimpse into the team's potential. A thrilling 2-1 victory over Qatar, courtesy of goals from Munashe Garanga and Bio Antonio, has injected confidence into the squad, ending a 10-match winless streak. However, a 3-1 loss to Algeria served as a harsh reminder of the challenges ahead. The Warriors' group stage opponents are a tough bunch. In Group B, they will face 7-time champions Egypt's Pharaohs, led by the incomparable Mohamed Salah, as well as regional rivals the 1996 champions Bafana Bafana of South Africa and Angola. Cote d'Ivoire are the defending champions looking to retain their 4th title and are considered one of the top contenders along the 3-time champions Nigeria, host Morocco, and the 2021 champions Senegal. The Continental Showdown, scheduled to run from the 21st of December to the 18th of January, promises to be an electrifying ride, with the 24 teams vying for the coveted title. The top 2 teams from each group, along with the 4 best third-placed teams who advance to the knockout stages. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
And now in cricket news, Zimbabwe Chevrons are looking forward to maintain a winning momentum in their next T20 international match against the host Pakistan in Rawalpindi this Sunday. Back to Anna Shemurombedzi on this report.
Led by skipper Sikandar Raza, the Chevrons seek to bounce a beggar from their opening 5-wicket loss to Pakistan and build on their commanding 67-run winner over Sri Lanka on Tuesday. Raza, who recently became the second Zimbabwe to reach 100 T20 wickets and made his 300th international appearance, says the team's busy calendar this year has paid off.
I don't think so. Zimbabwe need an outside source to be better. I think once we put on our national jersey, we know we have a job to do, and we are motivated enough as it is anyway, because I think anybody will be very privileged to represent their country. So for me, there's a lot of cricketers back home as well. They would love this opportunity to be with the national team. So the extra motivation is nice. WTC, as you spoke about, but the fact that we have played 10 test matches this year, so that has helped into understanding the game and getting better as well. And this is the first year where Zimbabwe calendar have looked really busy. So these sort of results, tells you that the process Zimbabwe cricket is following is certainly starting to give those rewards that one look for.
The Chevrons have had a jam-packed schedule this year, playing against Afghanistan, Ireland, Bangladesh, England, South Africa, and New Zealand in T20s, ODIs, and Test series. With the ICC T20 World Cup set to be co-hosted by India and Sri Lanka just around the corner, Zimbabwe is using this tri-series as part of their preparations for the big tournament in February. Anna Shemurombedzi, ZBC News, Harare.
Well, we wish the Chevrons all the best for tomorrow, and that's a wrap on the news at 8 from us here at Pocket Hill, as well as Dora Ngube from our Montreux studios. Good night.
Good night.